After creating a number of joineries for recent projects, I've come to the conclusion that I need a marking gauge in order to improve and speed up my joineries. Since it's a simple tool to make, I chose to do it myself rather than purchase one. Using what I had, I didn't spend any money on materials. Here I began making the beam using this dowel bar. I cut the dowel to the length I wanted and then began sanding it. For the last grit I used Scotch Brite to make it shiny and smooth. Here I began drilling a hole in the center of the dowel to install the wheel blade. However, I broke the bit on my first try. Following that, I tried a larger bit, but this time I was unable to begin the hole in the center because the dowel was shifting to one side. I then made the decision to drill the hole without a drill press. However, as you can see, I was unable to begin in the middle. I also ruined this one. Returning to my drill press, I found that this one was fine. It was in the middle. But the problem was that the hole was not 6 mm to make the thread the same size. I attempted to force the thread, but it was unsuccessful. So I made the hole larger, which is how I also ruined this one. I made multiple attempts, cutting the dowel after each to create a new hole. But I cut it short, making it useless. I decided to work on the other piece instead of continuing with this one. I started over by cutting the ends and flattening them. After marking the center of one end of the dowel, I punched the whole starting area. For this one, I also purchased a new set of drill bits. I therefore began by using the smallest one up to 6 mm. This time everything went more smoothly until I attempted the final step, which also I ruined it. I considered giving up on this make or hiring someone with a metal lathe to do it on a lathe because it was so annoying. I tried my last attempt of camera and it worked out well. Regretfully, I didn't shoot this one because I wasn't feeling very hopeful. I then create the screws thread and trying to see how a screw functions. After multiple tries, the outcome was satisfactory and quite relieving. I then began using Scotch Brite and sandpaper to clean the dowel. After cutting the screw, I used my sanding disc to sand the end. I started working on the wheel blade, which I made out of a washer. First I rounded the edges of the washer, then countersunk the hole for the screw. After that I put it in my drill press so that I could use files and an angle grinder to create the blade. I then used my disc sander to grind some more after attaching the washer to my drill. In order to make the screw head flush with the blade, I then put the blade and screw in the beam. I used the sanding disc for this task. As you can see here, the blade and screw head are flat. Here I had to use my rotary tool to create a groove for the screwdriver, so that I can take the blade out whenever I need to change or sharpen it. Once the blade was completed, I began working on the fence, cutting the shape with this hole saw. I then used the sanding disc to sand the entire fence. I used my drill press to create a straight hole in the center for the beam after sanding. For the thumb screw, which I will make after the fence, I made a hole here. A larger drill bit was used for the inserted thread, and a smaller bit was used for the screw body. For the purpose of installing the insert, I mixed a 5-minute epoxy, which will strengthen the bond between the insert and the whole wall and ensure its permanence. I inserted the thread here and then removed any extra epoxy. The thumb screw for this tool is the final part I will make. I just brought a screw, used the sanding disc to round and smooth the head. Then to improve my grip when I wanted to lock and unlock the beam, I carved grooves on the sides of the screw head. And this is the result. After that I tested the thumb screws operation with the beam, and it worked well. To make the fence nicer and more comfortable to handle, I returned it here and rounded off the edges. My palm router was used for this. The fence will now need to be manually sanded in order to prepare it for the finishing. I applied thick oil to the fence, let it sit for a few minutes, then used a tissue to remove any excess. This is the result. I put the tool together after applying the finish to check its appearance and, more importantly, its functionality. I tested the tool on this wood. It functions effectively. This tool is useful for making joineries. I am quite pleased with the outcome. For more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel and enjoy the video. As always, I sincerely appreciate you sticking with it through the end.